Recording.
All right. Good morning, everybody.
Biggest thing here that I felt was the earthquake.
Baruch Hashem. All right. So today is Lamed Vav. I'm going to try and be aggressive, try and get to the Mishnah on tomorrow's daf, but that means we got to move.
Yeah.
All right. 7:14. You need help? You got it? You good?
Yeah.
All right. So bottom line, still got it. Good question. Bottom of Lamed Hey Amud Beis, last lines of today's daf Lamed Vav. Rabbi Yirmiyah says Rabbi Yirmiyah Pamim Sheshneim Bechatas. All right. So what are we going on? We're talking about a case. We're talking about a case of where a shomer, a shomer is
gives a fish.
well, it's the case of one who rents a cow from his friend and then he lends it out. That was the case of the Mishnah. So we're talking about giving to one. So we say, Rabbi Yirmiyah, Pamim Sheshneim Bechatas, and away we go. So Pamim Sheshneim Bechatas and Pamim Sheshneim Be'ashim. There are times. Now we're going to be talking about two shomer, right? So the case was, looking back there, the guy rents a cow from his friend, and then he lends it to somebody else, and then the animal died. So the shoyel has a related. So the shoyel is chayiv to go ahead because a borrower is chayiv, so he's chayiv to go ahead and pay to the seicher, the renter. But the renter is actually pater because he makes a shvua to the owner that is died kedarka. Now, so it says Rabbi Yirmiyah, sometimes both of them bring a chatas, and sometimes both of them bring an asham. Now, when a person lies, stam, right? Stam, so he's chayiv a chatas, right? We'll soon see define as exactly what kind of case, but one is chayiv to go ahead and bring a chatas in that case if he makes a violates a shvua. And if one swears in order to avoid paying money, and then he turns out he's lying, he's chayiv an asham. So now, there are times when both of them, and we're going to say the all four cases. There are times that sheshneim chatas, and both of them bring chatas. Sometimes both of them have to bring an asham because they both lie to go ahead and avoid paying money. And there are times when the renter has to bring a chatas and the shel and asham. And there's times when the renter chatas is when it's just, you're lying, you violate a shvua. An asham is when I lie in order to avoid paying money. And then it turns out I'm lying, so my korban is an asham, right? Like a case of, the renter claims a certain thing happened and he's lying to the owner. Just what? Well, he has to make a shvua, right? He has to make a shvua. In other words, let's say he has to make a shvua that it was nignava and he would have been pater. But it turns out he lied and he was just negligent, right? So such obviously has to go ahead and reimburse the owner. But in addition, he has to bring an asham. And the fact that he just lied, so stop. In other words, he said it was an inus. We'll see. Let's say right now. So Hakate said, well, what's going on here? So So as we just explained, the denial of money through a shvua, and it turns out it's a lie, you have to bring an asham. And Bitos Hasimon, just violating your words, i.e., nothing to do with the paying or not paying. Chatas, that's patas. So let's go each case. So Pami Chatas Kagon. Shemesa Kedarka, the animal died Kedarka, V'omru Nensa, and they said an inus happened. So Sheicher the Benkach, Miftar Pater. He is Pater, right? So therefore, his lie, even though he lied about what happened to it, nevertheless, he's still Pater. He would have been Pater for the payment, and therefore Bechatas is Bechatas. And the Shoel and the Bauer, the Benkach if the animal, whether it was an inus or whether it was negligent, it was an accident, or whether it died naturally, he's have to go ahead and pay back the person who he borrowed it from. So Bechatas, therefore he brings the Chatas. Now, next case, sometimes both of them are asham. Let's say the animal was stolen. But Amru Mesa Machmas Malacha, and he said it died while doing what it was supposed to be doing. The Tarvayu Kafri Mamaina, both of them are trying to deny money. The Hamachayv, normally they'll be chayiv if it was nignava, but they lied, the Kapatri Nafshayu, and they're trying to go ahead and say each scenario is trying to say that he's pater because it died naturally. But it turns out it died naturally was a lie. And therefore, they are chayiv in that case, an asham. Now, Seicher bechatas v'shel be'asham. What's the case of a renter with a chatas and a borrower with an asham? Kagon shemesa kedarka that died naturally. V'amru mesa machmas malacha.
The line.
Yes, they're lying, and now they say it was mesa machmas malacha.
So,
So seicher. So let's see. So the
Oh.
renter, the benkach or benkach mifter, whether the animal would have died naturally or died while doing work, either way, the renter is pater. So therefore, his lie. But he lied. So his lie is just chai v'chadis. So maybe he didn't know the halacha. Maybe he thought, oh, I have to say that it died.
He thought to get out.
Yeah, but he was out of it. So nevertheless, he's chai v'chadis in that case because it has nothing to do with money. However, therefore, pater chai v'chadis. He has to be a chadis. Shayel demachai b'meisa kedarka. A borrower that just dies naturally is chai because. Pater nafshe, but he can claim that machmas v'lacha. So in other words, he did to avoid payment. Then be ashram. Then he brings an ashram because his lie involved trying to avoid payment. And finally, seicha be ashram v'sheh b'chatas. A renter gives an ashram, right? And the sheh b'chatas kagon was okay. Shenignava, the animal was stolen. The amru, and they said mesa kedarka, and it died naturally. So socher who the mechayiv ibichayiv why b'gnei aveda. Normally, it's chayv for a renter. The pater nafshe b'meisa kedarka, and he's trying to lie and avoid payment by saying it was meisa kedarka. So therefore, b'yashim he's an ashram. Shayel, but a bower lamed vav. Shayel the benkach or benkach the mechayiv, but the bower whether he's nignava or died naturally is chayiv. So therefore, his lie is b'chatas. So Gemara says, okay, Mike Kamashmalan, what these cases come to teach us, right? There is no chilusha there. So the afukim Rabbi Ami, like exclude Rabbi Ami, kol shvua shahadayanim mashbinosa. Any shvua that's made in Beis Din, ein chayvin alem shvuas bitui. That is not a shvuas bitui where one has to go ahead and bring a chadash. And as Bazik says, I nefesh kitishba levates vasai. It says only there when someone swears. So kitishba miatzma. Maybe it's only if he lies on his own. That's when it brings a chadash. So kamash like Rabbi Ami, he comes. He says not like Rabbi Ami. Fine. Smack in the middle of the page on Lamed Vav and Aleph.
Amen.
Smoking.
Now we're going to go ahead, and this is going to be the sugya for the rest of today's hour. Now, Itmar Shemer Shemasal Shemer. A guy was asked to go ahead, and I asked Mayor to go ahead and wash something for me, and then he gives it over to Randy. So Rav Omer Potter, and then something happens to it. So Rav says, Mayor is pater for me. In other words, there's no difference whether it's Mayor watching it or whether it's Randy watching it. It's the same thing. And Rabbi Yechanan says, no, Mayor is chayiv. It doesn't matter whatever happened. The Mayor is chayiv to go ahead and pay me. Right?
Because
let's see why.
Specification.
Let's see
I
why.
need this shomer, not that shomer.
So very good. Let's see. Maybe. So Amar Abaye says Latami the Rav, according to Rav, who said he's pater. So it's not only a case. In other words, let's say Mayor says, do me a favor, he's watching it for free. And then Mayor has to go, he has to go out. So he pays Randy to watch it. So in other words, that he's elevating the level of Shmira. Even in that case, not only that case is one pater. Even if Mayor is getting paid and he gives it to someone to watch it for free, which is a lower level of Shmira, it's a great level of Shmira. So pater, my time, what's the reason? Because he gave it to someone who was capable, and therefore Mayor's pater. He's not in the hook.
Right now.
Right. You know, if Randy did something wrong, then Randy's high to pay. It's not Mayor for giving to somebody else. Who says that Mayor will be high. Not only if I'm paying him and he gives it to someone to watch it for free, because he's lowering the level of Shmira. You the one who's doing for free because it pays someone to watch it. So that elevates the Shmira. Like you were saying, Yigal. I don't want the item in hand. I don't trust Mayor. I want Mayor. I know Randy's a fine guy. I want it in your hands. And Amar Rav Chisa says Rav Chisa had the Rav that which Rav said that he's pater lav b'feir shittim. I was not said explicitly. Ella michlola. Rather, it was only inferred from a case. So they use these gardeners that every day they will leave their tools by this old lady, this one house. So this way they won't have to schlep it all the way back. And fourth, they leave it by this one lady's house. She was the shomeres. So Yom Echad, one day, Avkidu Lagabi Chaminayu. So there was, the five gardeners, instead of putting the same lady's yard. So one of them says, I'll just watch it. So okay, so he was the shomer. So meanwhile, Shama Kaila Behilula. So all of a sudden he heard, Ater Sayali, he heard the music. There must be some free food. Right, there's a wedding hall going on. So Azaf Kadiu Lagabo. So he took it. La Isafta. He said, what do I do with these the tools here? Right, the hose and the shovels. I'll go ahead and leave it to that woman, the same woman. So it's a shomer shemasar l'shomer. Sadias. Meanwhile, by the time he went, someone came and then stole the tools. So also come to the Rav. They came for a Rav who patri, and he says he's potter. So what's the reason? So man the chaza, the one people saw saver mishum shomer shemasar l'shomer potter. They reason that Rav must hold a shomer gives another shomer is potter. He's not liable. However, belohi, that's not necessarily true, because maybe normally if a shomer gives it to somebody else, who gave you the right to do that? Therefore, you're chayv right in the amstud. Shari Hasam over there is different. The chol yoyma nami inu gufayo gabi ayisafta. Avia mitzko diluhu. Right. So in other words, every day they trust her. So since in this scenario, right, he knew that the owners of the tools trusted this lady, therefore that was the reason why he's potter. But maybe in other cases you're chayv, it's not always potter. So therefore, maybe Rav's case was lav daflo. So Yosef Rabbi Ami v'kamer lo l'shmaitza. So Rabbi Ami was sitting and learning, and he taught her the shmaitza. So Eisvei, asked Rabbi Abba Bar Memel. We're going to see his name later on towards the bottom of Amud Beis. So Eisvei Rabbi Abba Bar Memel, Rabbi Ami Hasecher. Well, let's look at our Mishnah. Hasecher par mechaveira. One who goes ahead and rents a car from his friend Veishiluli Acher, and then he goes ahead and lets it to somebody else who makes a kadarka, and then it died naturally. Yishava Hasecher shemesa kadarka. So the renter swears to the owner, and he says it died naturally. And if an animal dies naturally, a renter is pater. But if an animal dies naturally when a person is borrowing it, he has to go ahead and pay the seicher. If it's taka true that shemish shemas or the shomer
is going sin, right? Sure.
Yes, the only time he's pater is it basic
enemies or whatever.
If it's what's it called? If it's mesa b'malacha. In other words, if it's doing what it's supposed to be doing.
Right.
If I borrow it to plow my field and it died while plowing,
right,
you gave me permission to plow.
Right.
Therefore, I'm chayiv. But if you gave it to me and for a week to plow, and it was in my barn, and then it died, then I'm chayiv. But it was mesa machmas malacha, then I'm pater. What?
You didn't put any exertion on it. It just died.
Right, but I wasn't using it at the time that I was supposed to be using it. So that's called oinus, right? So God says, if it's
The renter is making the oath. He's taking the shore, the renter.
All right. Yes,
Not the sublet, but the first one.
Well, actually, the other guy does because of Rav Huna, because the halacha that we saw the last couple of days is a person has to make a shvua that he doesn't, even if he's chayiv either way, but he has to make a shvua that he doesn't have the item. Because remember, Rav Huna stated that we're worried that perhaps he just wanted it and the guy wasn't going to sell it to him, so he says, it's lost, and here's the money for it, right?
But in this case,
yes,
is the second subletter also making out?
Well, he's chayiv to pay. So he's not making a shvua as to why it died, as to now he's chayiv to pay, because he's chayiv to pay.
So that brings my question is, how does the renter know that he died naturally?
That was how I think Alan asked yesterday, right? Right. So maybe let's say there's witnesses. Maybe the witnesses told him, but the witnesses were not around to tell the owner. So therefore, maybe he makes a shvua.
With him at the time.
Or maybe he saw it right, or he saw it himself, whatever it was. Right, but he couldn't really be with him because there's a halakha's difference. If a person borrows something, but he's still with the owner, or in this case, would be with the renter, so maybe that'd be different. But yeah, so good question. I forgot to follow up on that. So today, bli neder. All right. Davi Misa. In this case, why is the seicher right pater? Because seicher is pater if it's mesa. Bimisa lemalei ein mitzvah shepik done be ad acher. I don't want in your hand, right? So shamash shamer is chayiv, so he should be chayiv in this case. Why is he pater? So he gave him permission to go ahead and lend it out. Lahasha. So Gemara says, "Ihachi." Right? If that's the case, in other words, when the shoyel who when it died in his possession, he should pay the original owner because basically the owner says, "Okay, I'm renting it to you, and you can lend it to him." So it's like him. So Goran says, "No, he didn't tell him permission this specific guy to go ahead and lend it to. So therefore, you can lend it if you want to go ahead and lend out. He just gave him reshus to lend it out, but not to the specific person. So there wasn't a relationship between the borrower and the owner." So Mesi Rabbi Rechama, so Hamafkin Masay Chavero, and Saron Vishun Achara. A person goes ahead and is watching money for somebody else. He puts it in a bag, throws it over his shoulder, which is not so responsible because it can fall out easily. Or he was Muslim Beno Ubitoach Tanim, or he gave it to his minor children. Or if another financial karoi, or he didn't lock it up properly. Chayv, all these cases chayv. Shaloi shamar keder chashayim. Because he didn't watch it the way it was supposed to be watched. The Talmud Tanim. It sounds like only reason that he's chayiv is because he gave it to minors. Ha gedolim, but if he gave it to his teenage children who are gedolim, that would be pater. Then it'd be pater. Yamai name alay. Let it say, hey, I don't want it in somebody else's hands. Samarova kol hamafkid. To the page. The person knows that against somebody. He basically there is an expectation that his wife and or children will be involved in the shmir. So therefore, only dafka if there's katanim, then he's chayiv because that's not responsible. If they're otherwise, the household he was assumed so. So Amri didn't hire this. So he didn't hire yeah. And dig it out, you can also make it affirmative. The Tanya says there, it says there, if you gave it to his minor children, you can make an inference that if he gave it to his adult children, then he'd be pater, michlal, diacherim, but it's only by his children. But it sounds like only Badavka's children who are adults, he'd be pater. But if he gave it to another adult, then he'd be chayiv. Dean Kane, Lisa Nikitanim Stama. Just say he gave it to minors. Why is he saying it's minor children? Stama. The Shmamina indeed learned from there. I would have deflected and maybe say, because that was common. No. But why did it specifically say that the minor children you're chayiv? Mashma that the adult children you're pater. Right. Why did you say minors in general? Because if you gave it to minors in general, it means that adults in general, you'd be pater, but that's not the case. So therefore, it specifically said your children. Mashma that he only had
minor is dropping the quality of shmira.
Right, but the question is, what about other?
So if you give another person quality not as good, so it's
right.
minor.
But the whole point over here is right. We're making a deal. The whole point over here is why did it say children? Why didn't you say gedolim or katanim? Katanim you're chayiv, gedolim you're pater. It says bedafka's children katanim he's chayiv, mashma, his children gedolim are pater, but any other people he be still be chayiv, or else you just say katani be chayiv and all gedolim be pater. But it doesn't say that. It only says the inference is only that gedolim children and not other gedolim.
No, gedolim that's not reuyim to do shmira.
No, but even gedolim that are roi, you're still chayiv because they're not your children. You weren't given permission. That's the deal, right? So the deal is bedafka only the children. That's why I mentioned children, not just stam katani gedolim. And Rabba says, a Shemer who goes ahead and gives it to another Shemer, he is chayiv to go ahead and pay. It's not only that one who's paid, he gives it to somebody who's paid the Guri Lishmira, so he's worsening the Shmira. Even one who's watching for free, pay someone to watch it, elevates the Shmira, he's chayiv. My timer, he says to him, At Mehames li b'shvua, heichlo Mehames li b'shvua. You, I trust with a shvua. Him, even if you're paying him, I don't care. I don't trust him with a shvua. Therefore, Shemer Samash is what's it called? Is chayiv. Okay, and this is a new svara. We're actually going to see it in a little bit. And Itamar. So now, let's see in this case, Pashaba, so now, new case. So Pashaba, this guy was given to watch something, and he was negligent. The Yatzel Agam, and it goes to the marsh. So he was negligent. He didn't lock up his fence. He walked away. He went to the swamp. Umesa Kedarka, and it died naturally by the swamp. Now remember, if it died by his house, it would have been fine, but it died by the swamp. It was negligence that it got away. So by Mishmei the Rabba Omar Chayiv and Rabba Mishmei the Rabba Omar the Abai Mishmei the Rabba Omar Chayiv and Rabba Mishmei the Rabba. I guess each one of them is a Rabba Omar Potter. So let's see why. So by Mishmei de Rabba Amar Chayiv. So by says he's Chayiv. Why? Called Dina Deloy Dayin Ki Haydina Lav Dainahu. If you don't give this ruling, you're not a judge. Why? Not only according to the opinion who holds it's something that starts normally in negligence and ends up in a complete accident. Nevertheless, you're still Chayiv. The Chayiv. Ela Filu Man Diamar Pater. Even normally you're Pater in such a case because it died right in an accident. Ultimately, over here, my time. What's he's never done? We'll say he actually caused it because the fumes from the swamp weren't healthy for the animal. That's why it died. You caused the animal to die in this case. And Rabbi Mishmei the Rabbi Omar Potter. And now that called Dina Deloy dying ki I Dina Lav Dina who. But any judge doesn't come to this decision, is not a good judge. And it's not only the case of where it started with negligence and then it ended with an einus that he's pater. In this case, he's pater. Normally, if you start with negligence, you're always chayiv, even if it was an accident at the end. In this case, you're still pater. Hacha pater. My time. What's the reason? Damar hamalchamavis mali hacha mali hasam. Because the malchamavis says he wants to kill the animal. He's going to kill the animal. It doesn't make a difference whether it's in the guy's locked yard or went to the swamp. It was going to die. Since it died naturally, therefore you're pater. Malchamavis goes there. Umode Abaye the Hadra Lebeimar, but Abaye would agree that if it returned and it went to the swamp and then came back to the guy's yard, the Shemer's yard, Mara, Umesa, and it died there, the putter. My time, the Hadra because he returned it, right? He returned it to the owner's yard, and therefore he was putter, and then it died. Because over there you can't say that the fumes from the swamp killed it because it died, later on. Rabba say, "Kol heicha the ignav ganav ba'aga." But let's say it went to the swamp and someone stole it from the swamp, right? It went from bad to worse. Umeista, and then it died by the ganav kadarka, and then died naturally. Kadarka b'bei ganav. The chayiv, he's chayiv. Why? My time was reason. Di shavka malchamaves b'beis the ganav kaima. Because even if the malchamaves didn't come, it would still be in the ganav's house. So either way, either it was killed or it's in the ganav's house. Either way, it's gone. Therefore, everyone would agree that you're chayiv. Now, Amalei Abai Rava. So Abai says to Ladidcha, according to you, Demarta malchamaves mali hacha mali hasam, who says, hey, if it's going to die naturally, then you should be pater because what does make dies here or there? So hi, the Usi Rabbi Abba Bar Memel. That which Rabbi Abba Bar Memel asked, Rabbi Ami, right? In other words, in our case from our Mishnah, Ushani Le Bishnasal Al Bala Mishus Lahashim. We're talking about a case of the reason why the Mishnah says that the Seicher is pater is because he was given permission to lend it out. So why did you say over there? Right? Say over there. No. Well, why should you be chayiv at all? Right? It was going to die. So he said also according to you, the Masnis ain't Tony Shepik Dani Biarachim, but according to you, who has a svara that I don't want my item in this person's possession, you can go ahead and ask that case over there. That why is the Seicher pater? He should be chayiv for the reason of I didn't want it in his hands. However, the Didi, but according to me, right? Damina on to Mahanas Liba Shvuah, but over here, or my reason is because I don't trust the guy with the Shvuah, I only trust you with the Shvuah. Like you can't ask over here. Why? Because in this case over here, we said the Seicher does make a Shvuah, right? He does swear. Remember, you asked how did he make the shvuah? He wasn't with it, right? So he does make a shvuah. So therefore, you can't say that he's only dealing with the shomer shemas of the shomer to the second shomer because the first shomer is still making the shvuah. So therefore, he would agree. So Meisi Rabbi Rachama Selel Reishet Sukin V'Nafla. Let's say a guy was given the animal to shepherd, and he brought it up to the top of the mountain to go ahead and graze over there, and it died there. It's not einus v'chayv, and he's negligent. Ha meisa kadarka. So he went up there. It was a difficult climb. So therefore, he's chayiv. So and therefore, it's not einus. He's chayiv. Ha meisa kadarka. But if it went up there, it died naturally. Hare ze einus. Upater, v'yamai, but why should he pater? Le'malei avir dahar kadla inami ovitza dahar kadla. So why did you say if you left it there, you're pater? You should be chayiv, right? Maybe it was the air or the difficult walk. The answer is this is where everyone goes. It was a good grazing area. It was common to go up there, so therefore this animal happened to go ahead and die. See, well, even if the animal fell off, you took it up to the mountain to graze over there because that was normal, but it fell off. Nami shayla. So he says no. Shayla takva. He should have grabbed onto the animal. That's the reason why he's chayiv. But like takva, and he didn't do it. So yachi. Hey, Marisha. Well, let's look at the ratio. It says also the ratio tzukin. If he took the animal up to the top of the mountain to graze, v'nafla, and it fell over there. Harei honest. This is an accident. He should have held on to it and grabbed on. So answer no. He says no. When he tried to go ahead and grab it, but the animal overpowered him and then fell. Therefore, that's the reason why he is pater. Why that case of naflos and inus. And Rabbi Yosi. So Rabbi Yosi said in the case of the Mishnah, he says, how can the borrower pay the renter, but the renter is pater to pay from the owner? He's making money, right, with the other guy's animal. The other guy's animal, he's making money on it, right? So Rabbi Yosi says no. The sheh is going to pay. He's going to pay the owner, not the renter. Some Rabbi Yehuda, Shmuel, halach Rabbi Yosi, halachas like Rabbi Yosi. Similarly, Rav Shmuel, Bar Yehuda, Rabbi Yehuda. So Amar Tala Mishmei de Shmuel Chalukayr Rabbi Yosi. Av Berishayda. Even the first Mishnah. No, it was the first Mishnah of the pair. The first Mishnah of the pair is like this. Remember, if the guy goes ahead and he borrows something, let's say whatever it is, and he decides to pay, and he doesn't want to make a shvua, and then they find the ganav, so the guy who paid gets the kefil. He gets the double payment. So what do you see over there? That a guy is making business with someone else's money, right? He's getting the kefil payment. The owner just gets the regular keren. This guy is getting the kefil. So Rabbi Yosi L'chara would argue, how can you go ahead and be making business on someone else's money to get the kefil? So does Rabbi Yosi, in fact, argue also on the first Mishnah? So, and if he does, is the halach like Rabbi Yosi or not? Yeah, Rabbi Yosi, indeed. He says, no, the kefil payment, if the guy pays, doesn't go to the guy who paid. It goes to the owner because the guy who pays shouldn't be making money on someone else's money.
It doesn't make sense why you get money.
Right. The halacha is like Rabbi Yosi, even in that first case. So each right now, he's similar to Rabbi Yosi after Rishona, but halacha kamaisa after Rishona, halacha is like after Rishona. And Rabbi Yechon Amar Maida Haya Rabbi Yosi Rishona. No, Rabbi Yosi agreed in the case of Rishona because if the guy paid, Shekvar Shilem. Therefore, because since he paid, he gets the kefil. So Mar says Shilem in daf if he pays, lo Shilem no. If he didn't pay, no. I Rabbi Yechon lo Shilem mamish ella kevan. I didn't Rabbi Yechon say you don't really have to pay. All you have to say is I want to pay or I will pay, and then all of a sudden you got lucky. You didn't have to pay because they found the ganav. You get the kefil. So Gemara says, okay, we didn't mean to. Don't put words in my mouth. Ema, rather, what he's going to say, yeah. So and economics, Rabbi Yosi would say, yeah. Once the guy agrees to pay, then he's zeicha to the payment of the kefil, and he agrees with the first Mishnah as opposed to arguing with it. All right, we'll stop here at the Mishnah. What? So in that case, so he would.